pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we get a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
Second. Okay, all in favor? Aye. All right, we got new business here. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to start out this meeting. I'm going to have Kenny Morris, who's 40-year fire department, 33 as fire chief, give him time to explain how we got to this point right here. And then after that, Chief Griffin will have him speak, and then the other ones, and then after all that, we're going to have public comment. And for the public comment, I'm going to read this. This is something that I've said before, and this is another meeting. So, but at this time, I always invite everybody, the council with this issue is concerned. The interest, giving everyone time to limit your comment to 3 minutes. We want to keep your comments respectful, and we will not tolerate personal attacks and inappropriate language. If you are interested in making a comment, you sign the sheet, which you already have, and we'll move on from there. And this 3 minutes is, if you got something, just as long as you don't start repeating yourself. Once you start repeating yourself, we're going to move. So at this time, I'm going to hand it over to Commissioner Morris. Let him speak. Thank you.
Can everybody hear me okay? I'm Ken Morris, I'm the Public Safety Commissioner. I spent 44 years on the South Beloit Fire Department, 36 as the Chief of the Department. And I wish to give a little background here that kind of explains why we're in the position we're in. When I joined the department in 1973, we had a department of 21 people, 2 full-time people and 19 paid-on-call people. We only ran fire, we didn't have EMS. At that time, you had to live within the city of South Beloit in order to be on the fire department. After several years on the department, one of the first things we had to do was to open up our hiring to outside of the city, because we couldn't fill the ranks by people within the city volunteering. So we put a range around the department, 7 miles, you could live within 7 miles of the station to be on the department. In 1992, we took on the ambulance service. Now, first year I was on the department, we ran 70 runs. The year we took on the ambulance, we went up to 380 runs, just because of the ambulance. We still did that with the 2 full-time people and the 19 paid on call. Eventually, we could not man with the paramedics, trying to maintain with a part-time basis. We went up to 4 full-time people. Now, during this period of time, we've had a constant flow of people in the door and out the door. We were lucky within South Beloit because we had excellent training. The city really provided for us to train our people. And we got to the point that we became a training place for everybody around us. Now, there was no way the city of South Beloit could compete with the wages of some of the larger cities around us. So we lost a lot of people. We trained people as a paramedic, they'd be with us a year, get hired on to City of Beloit, get hired on to, we got people in Peoria, we got people in Madison, several in Waukegan. We got a reputation as a very well-trained organization. But throughout this time, the volunteer end of the organization was dying. And it's not something that was happening just in South Beloit. This is a national issue. And it has been a national issue since the day when I got on the department. When I first got on the department, the NFPA just put out a, I can't say video, a movie at that time called What Will You Do If You Call and Nobody Comes? And it was a video about what happens when the volunteer fire service dies. insight at that time that we were losing volunteers at such a rate that at some point, we weren't gonna be able to rely on it. And at that time, about 90% of the fire departments in this country were volunteers. Not so now. Now, unfortunately, in the last few years, we've seen a decrease in the number of people that are applying for full-time firefighters. When I first got on the department, I tested with the Rockford Fire Department, and I tested against 700 people. Their last testing, they got 79 applicants in the city of Rockford. People are not doing this anymore. One of the reasons we're losing the volunteers is the amount of commitment time there is to be a firefighter paramedic. Used to be when I got on the department, I came in the night after council meeting, I walked in the door, they had me helmet, boots, coat, said you're on the fire department. Next day I was crawling through the burning house. Okay. Now, you get hired on the volunteer department. You've got a year of training before you even touch the fire truck. That's just the basic firefighter. Now, if we're going on to be a driver, if we're going on for an officer, if we're going on for an EMT, paramedic, it's all additional training hours. To get to the point of being a paramedic, you've got to go through EMT training, okay? That's a year, about a year's time. Then when you get done with that, you've got to run as an EMT for a year. Then you can take paramedic training, which takes you another year. Then you get your provisional time, which takes you another year. So from the time you walk in the door, if you try to make you a paramedic, we got 4 years before you're going to be in that ambulance for anything more than training. Now, over the years, I was very fortunate. I had a very well-staffed department. One of the last things I did before I left, a couple of years before I left, we had a quota of 36 members on the department. At that time, I went to the council and I said, I need to have you drop our quota. I said, right now, I have people that are coming in the door that are waiting to get on the department. I'm one of the few agencies around that had a waiting list to get on the department. I got the city to agree to make it unlimited. I said, as long as we got the people coming in the door, let's grab them, let's make them firemen, because we're not going to be in this position forever. From that point on, I was never able to get over 36 people. Now, we had programs that we were running with Lake College. 2 years, we had an intern program where we brought 10 to 20 college students in. That program went away. Bottom line is, we're having a tremendous amount of trouble in being able to keep manning. One of the few things we looked at, first off, is we looked at the possibility of contracting the paramedics through a private agency. We couldn't do it. Manpower really wasn't there today. Our next step was to look at possible contracts with surrounding agencies. So we talked with Rockford, we talked with Roscoe, both of which didn't want to take it on, mostly because they're having their own personnel issues. They're able to meet their daily needs now, but they do take more on, was going to put them in the same position we're in. We dealt with the city of Beloit and looked at the possibility of contracting with the city of Beloit. Got so far with that and that fell through. We went, met with Township, and Township came up with a proposal, gave us an opportunity. Bottom line is, we had to do something. We've got a system in operation now, and it's going to take time for that to be a perfect system. But we've got just 2 surrounding departments, the city of Beloit and the town of Beloit, to draw the extra resources we need until we're able to get this system completely up and operating. Our next alternative is to pass a referendum and be able to raise enough tax base to hire 15 full-time firefighters and a chief of borough. We're talking a lot of money. You know, we're spending a little over $1 million to be able to contract. We're going to be talking well over $2 million to be able to staff our own full-time department. So we had options to look at. This is the one we fell on. This is the one we're attempting to make work, but it's going to take time for everything to be up and working perfectly. Okay, thank you.
Chief Ernie, could you explain the situation that you went through on our staffing issues while you were here, please? Yeah, right, we were here.
Wander around, it's good. Jason Griffin, Deputy Chief of the City of Beloit, was the interim chief or the chief during the 2.5 years here for what was going on. So before my arrival, we got to get a kind of a lay of the ground. Chief Morris kind of talked about the actual staffing and how it's reducing. We're seeing it in the City of Beloit. When I applied in the City of Beloit in 1999, I applied with over 300 firefighters, other people that want to be firefighters. Today, during our hiring process, which are lower standards than what we had when I applied, we're only receiving about 25 applicants. So from a 300 fire department or 300 people applying to about 25 right now. We've been through meetings throughout the entire region here, from Winnebago County to Rock County Fire Departments. They just had a meeting the other day. There's a local fire department here right now that has 3 openings. They only had 5 people apply and only 2 people showed up. So that's the staffing problems that we're having in the fire service right here, right in this region. Illinois is one of the hardest. This region right here is one of the hardest, and the reason for that is Rockford Fire Department soaking up a lot of the firefighters here that want to be full-time and want the badge of the Rockford Fire Department. Rockford is, the 2nd or 3rd biggest city in the state of Illinois. Just like Chicago, everybody wants that name on their shoulders, so they leave these smaller departments to go get those big cities. Also the other issue we're having in this region is the Chicago cities. The suburbs of Chicago, their starting wages for their firefighters are $100,000. $100,000 in this region. To become a battalion chief or a deputy chief, that's the wages, $100,000. So they're going over to the Chicagoland area to become full-time firefighters for $100,000 a year. So that's just this region and our issues with that. The city of South Beloit, when I first got hired, we just had 2 fire chiefs that resigned abruptly before my arrival. We also had a couple employees that resigned abruptly before my arrival. What that does to a fire department, it does a lot. You take your senior people that are supposed to be coming up through the department to become chief someday, just like Chief here did, and myself, and those are the people that are supposed to be the chief. Guess what? They're gone. So now what do? You have a department of a bunch of young firefighters that are trying to build a fire department up. When you have that, we have the inexperience, we don't have the education, we're putting people in some bad situations. We need to go get education, we need to get some fire experience, and we need to build up through that fire service. So before my arrival 2.5 years ago, we were scrambling. I also had some major issues going on inside our EMS side. So I had a lot of my paramedics and EMTs that had not renewed their education. We had a lot of medication and misdiagnosis. Within that, we had to send all that information to our medical director. Our medical director then gave us a directive that we have to start educating our paramedics immediately, our EMTs immediately, and in doing that, they had to take extra education. And in the South Beloit Fire Department, we have every Wednesday night we have drill. It used to be 3 fire drills and 1 EMS drill. Well, we changed that to 2 EMS drills and 2 fire drills. So every month we were training twice for EMS and twice for fire. The reason for that is because our EMS was not doing well. So I was trying to, as the chief, try to build up our EMS. Along with that, we were losing firefighters because of these other fire departments taking them on, and in doing that, I was losing paramedics. So we actually had to take our ambulance service, which was a 24/7, 365 days a year paramedic service, and I couldn't staff it anymore. I couldn't staff it with paramedics, so I had to drop it down to an EMTB, which is what we call a basic level, which they cannot give as much medication. We can help and give some medication, but we can't give the medications that that a paramedic can give, the life-saving medications. So in that, I was responding the city of South Beloit was responding with an EMTB ambulance. So what does that do to the surrounding communities? It now puts a burden on everybody else. So we would respond in the city of South Beloit with an EMTB ambulance. We would have to call Rockton, Beloit, Harlem, Roscoe for an ambulance to come help us because we cannot give the proper medication and care. So during this same time, I'm also sending people to paramedic school. Like Chief said, we're trying to build the department up, we're trying to get traction, trying to move things forward, and these people, as they're in paramedic school, are getting hired out to other fire departments. So now we have a burden on our other agencies, and then we cannot staff our own with paramedics. So with that staffing, we started getting letters from local fire departments asking us to reduce call volume because they are being overwhelmed themselves now. They're not able to cover their own community. So, if you can imagine, as a fire chief, I'm trying to do everything I possibly can. During the same time, we also had a hiring process. Within that hiring process, some of you have seen it in the papers, we hired 2 people. We had 2 openings. We went to go hire 2 people. I only had 3 applicants. Within those 3 applicants, 2 people turned it down, so I only actually was able to hire 1 person. So the 2 people that turned them down, 1 turned it down because they didn't feel that they could pass the physical agility test, and the second one didn't want to take a wage cut. So I had 1 person and I had another opening. Now, as we talked, as Chief talked, to staff a fire department in the city of South Beloit, the proper way to do it is similar to what we're doing it today, a 2-person minimum. That at least gets your paramedic ambulance out the door. A third person would probably be the best, and that is I don't know what the average rate is right now for the town of Beloit to have that 3rd person there, but that would get you the engine or the ambulance. It's not going to get you both. You know, in a perfect world, 5 people at that station is going to be perfect, but it all costs money. Just like the mayor said, referendums and increases in wages are the things that are going to build this department back up. To pay for a chief, and as you guys have seen some of the paperwork that we have here, I don't know what the numbers were that we were looking at this. I had put this together almost 2 years ago now, but it was pretty expensive to put a whole fire department together. So yeah, I had major issues going on with the paramedic service in the city here. We were getting them trained up. I was sending people to paramedic school. I was sending firefighters to fire certifications. We had a handful of them leave South Beloit and go to other communities like Rockton and Roscoe as firefighters. So as we're trying to send them to school, they were leaving as fast as I was sending them to school. And I know a lot of you are looking at the previous council videos and stuff like that, and you'll see South Beloit hired this, South Beloit hired this. I was hiring, but I was losing them just as fast as I was hiring. So that's kind of where we came to a situation. Chief Morris kind of explained what we had to do. In the day that the transfer of township from the city of South Beloit, I had a weekend where I didn't have anybody on duty. There's been many Facebook posts that I had 1 firefighter on duty, only available to respond by himself to these calls. Today, since this thing has been implemented with the town of Beloit, every single day they've had 2 paramedics on duty able to respond to calls. What they also have done is they have taken the paramedic service and upgraded it. When I was there, we couldn't guarantee to have one paramedic on duty, but when we did have a paramedic on duty, we could give medication, but we couldn't, what they call RSI, rapid sequence intubation. We couldn't paralyze somebody. And today, the paramedics in the city of South Beloit can now paralyze somebody, shove a tube down their throat to help them breathe, and give that medication. So they have already, since they've taken over, have already upscaled the EMS service that we have today from when I was in that position. So is there anything else you guys can think of during that time frame? But that's kind of where we've come to today.
Do you know any of your final staffing numbers towards the end?
My final staffing numbers, I know when I was just coming out and then Town of Beloit was taking it over, the news was FOIA and me, and I think it was like 12 total people with 7 of them actually working hours. I had 12 on the roster, but 7 of them that were actually working hours, and these 7 were filling shifts through the week. And like I said, the weekends were a little rough because people had other things going on. If there was a family function or if there was some type of function that most of the firefighters knew each other because in the fire department we're all family, it was really tough to get something. If there was a wedding that weekend and one of our firefighters were getting married, I just couldn't do that. And when you have a paid on call, paid on premise type firefighters, you have no control of when they work. They only work when they're available. So if you have full-time firefighters, they have to be there or they're not going to be employed anymore. Where when you have paid on call, paid on premise firefighters, you can only take them when they're available. You can't force them to stay because they have other jobs that they have to go to. They have other things that they have to do, and I can't force them to stay. Where with a full-time employee, you can do holdovers and some other different types of ways to manage that. So at the end, we were probably 7 or 8 that were working on a regular basis, but 12 on the roster.
Chief, can I ask you to dwell on one spot? January 2nd, 2024, it was really the first meeting where we had a good week that the Town of Beloit was probably our best option. In that council meeting, I know you remember this, but you went through in your first big quarterly report, the top 4 or 5 options. Some of them were carved out from a Mid-Scope America 2016 study that I reported, and some of them were local recommendations. Can you talk a little bit about the handful of options that South Beloit had about a year ago, and sort of how we got to option 5 as our best option?
Yeah, so Chief Morris kind of explained a lot of it. We went to these other communities. So we actually started getting some traction with Harlem Roscoe. They were asking for some stuff from the city clerk, and they were trying to get some money information on taxes and stuff like that. We actually had some traction with Harlem Roscoe, and I thought that was actually going to be the merger that was going to work. And then that actually fell through because the fire chief resigned in Harlem Roscoe abruptly. And the new fire chief, when I talked to him, he was not interested in moving forward with anything because what they did is they just they had a private ambulance, a private service that actually staffed their fire department, the Harlem Roscoe Fire Department. So they're a private entity that came in and they staffed the fire trucks in Harlem Roscoe. Well, they have now converted. They have not got rid of the private ambulance service because the private ambulance or private service was not working for them. And now they have a municipal fire department where they're giving them a state pension. Usually state pensions keep people at the fire departments because as you can imagine, if everybody in the state of Illinois is putting money into one big pot, you're going to have a bigger pot of money. So that's why Harlem Roscoe is switching over. So Rockton Fire Department, they only have an ambulance, and it's only a private service ambulance that runs 24 hours a day. So their ambulance service runs 24 hours a day. But Rockton Fire Department, they have volunteers that staff it during the day, but then at nights they don't staff it. They don't have a fire truck on duty. They have to depend on volunteers to come in, grab the fire truck, and respond to that incident. And that also is on the weekends. They do not have a fully staffed engine every day. On the weekends, they have to respond with that. So Going back to Harlem Roscoe was moving forward, and we ended up not going with that one. My goal was to keep it in Illinois. I needed help, and I needed help immediately because I knew my staffing was not going to go well. We were losing more and more people. I had full-time people going, and I knew the amount of people leaving was going to be pretty quick. So I started talking with Rockton, and Rockton said that they have what they have, and they don't have enough people to man their stations every day, so they're not interested in taking on a city of South Beloit, which we're looking for full-time staffing every day. So those are those two departments. We talked to the city of Beloit, and that was just not a situation where the administration at the city of Beloit wanted to take on staffing for South Beloit at the time. That would be our best option because City of Beloit, of course, has 60 full-time firefighters, and to take on the City of South Beloit, we could hire that, but it would actually be a little bit easier, a little softer of a hit. And then the last person I had was Town of Beloit. After that, I told Sonia and the mayor that if the Town of Beloit thing does not work out and they're not able to help the City of South Beloit, we're going to have to hire a full-time chief. And it's going to be a lot more, the wages are going to be a lot higher than what we expected. They're going to be about $130,000 to $140,000 for a fire chief because we are having some major issues here, and I can't staff what we have, and we're going to have to hire at least 9 plus the fire chief and probably a couple of deputy or assistant chiefs. So my projections, I don't know if they're on there. I can't remember that paperwork from that year, but my projections were on there, and this was 2 years ago. The staffing has changed. There has been some conversation about the private ambulance service and how I talked to them. I did talk to them. The numbers that they gave me were their baseline numbers, and they said that with that numbers, we're probably not going to be able to hire anybody because the wages are so low. We're going to have to increase those wages. Those were just numbers for them to give me an idea. But those numbers were not going to be accurate in the hiring of people. Because even though we can put that $58,000 out or whatever it was, $60,000 out, you still have to get people to come in and work for that position. And if they're not going to, you're going to have to now do something different. We tried doing stuff different. We tried to put a $10,000 bonus on any full-time firefighter that can come to our fire department as a paramedic. We increased their wages. Can't remember everything we did, but we were bonuses, wages. We were just trying to do everything we possibly can to bring people in, and unfortunately, even with all those bonuses and wages increase, we were just not able to pull people in. And again, I needed educated, ready to go people. I couldn't take, we would still take the new firefighters that are coming online at the first, but the way I was losing people, I could not staff a fire department. 2, I couldn't staff an ambulance service to get out the door. We were EMTBs and paramedics, so there's a lot involved in the decisions that were made. Just know that some of this paperwork, and if you go back and listen to some of the council meetings, I expressed that on many of the council meetings that we're having issues with staffing, and we need to continually try to increase staffing, and that's why we ask for bonuses. That's why we ask for increased wages. That's why we ask for a lot of things. So, any other thoughts, ideas, questions? All right.
Why don't you give me the sign-up sheet there? Those that want to talk.
While we're between things, Mayor, if anybody else wants to sign up for public comment, there's a sign-in sheet with the clerk.
Mayor, can I go last,
Name
please?
on that.
Tracy going last, you go second. Here. I think a lot of things that people don't remember though is a lot of people, now that I see Andrew here, made me think about it was, through the years, we always had in South Beloit Fire Department, all the parades and that, you look out front, and there was a lot of people here that were members of the South Beloit Fire Department, captains, lieutenants, and what have you. And you had an upper management of Southwick Fire Department, you know, and there's guys on there like Ken Morris and Mike Davenport, Bill Puckett, Jack Radisky, Andrew Kitson, Gary Brown, all them guys there that had many years and trained the best trained around. And they're not here anymore. And the oldest guy over there was Dave, towards the end was Dave Palmer and Henthorn, Bill Henthorn. And then after that, they were down to where they had just a few years. And some of them didn't even have enough years to, or have enough experience to even drive the fire truck. How many times would you see read on Facebook that Southwick didn't have a person to drive the fire truck? Well, that's one part of the reasons, that not all, but part. But anyway, I'll go here. Bruce, you want to stand up? Bruce Hedger.
How do you want me to start this?
Any way you want.
What I've got is, the question I have with everything that's going on, is too much hyperbole going around all sides. Do you know the response matrix, your operational response matrix that happens in your city when a call comes in?
I know it's 5 minutes and 20 seconds. I know.
For what?
For 80 seconds to get you in your uniform, and 2 minutes and 2 minutes and something to get you out the door, and then you got 3 minutes to get to the to where you're going. That's the standard. Or something. I don't have it right because I don't know.
No, I'm just saying, you misunderstood me, Tom. That you know what responds when the tone signal? Do you know what vehicle, what company goes when the tone signal?
No, I don't.
Why not?
I would have to defer that to
Well,
Chief.
no,
We have the professional people here to answer that.
What I'm saying to you is that if you're making decisions on to spend $5, $5 million, you don't know where your money's going. Second of all, do you know who's in command of those 2 people or possibly 3 at the station? Who are their bosses?
We didn't have many older
I'm talking
people.
now, today.
Right now, no, we have professional people down there right now.
Okay, who's their boss?
Ryan is their immediate,
Every day, 24 hours a day.
he's the one they answer to.
Right?
They answer depending on who's on duty that day. They have a shift commander that they answer to.
Every day.
Yes.
Is he on the radio every day?
Yes.
I thought you were, okay. The question I have for the fire guys is that, can you tell us what responds from the township on an ill person? What responds out of your house for an ill person, an ambulance call?
That's Southwick.
No, out of the township, okay? On a seizure. I just said, a seizure. That's the call.
On the different calls, depending on the call, it could be an ambulance.
This is,
ambulance and an engine.
No, this ain't question and answer, Bruce.
Well, it has to
What
be.
you
It has to be to get the
major
information out.
statements.
It has to be to get the information out.
Yeah.
Because
Now
now,
you're getting into the.
the minutia that nobody wants to talk about,
Well,
that's what I'm saying here is that
I don't see what township's sending out on their calls.
you will if you want to listen.
Well, how long you got?
I got, well, when did my time start? We don't know that either.
Yeah, it's just kind of.
Is that, does an engine and ambulance go out of the township for a seizure? Comment on an unconscious seizure.
It could be a township ambulance and a Woodway engine.
Okay, now, if that happened in Southwood, what are they in?
The ambulance and the crew, if the ambulance crew calls for an engine, we send an engine.
From? Do the guys that are on duty call the finance shift commander for the day? They call him on the radio and say, hey, give me a ton, give me this, I got a seat.
They go to dispatch.
Okay. So, I think listening to that dispatch, traffic, please stop Floyd. Haven't heard my ear yet on that frequency. trouble breathing, same thing, engine ambulance.
Bruce. Been on there over 3 months. Time's up.
Okay.
All right, Jack, we just,
First of all, I gotta say, this is a joke that you're gonna give us 3 minutes total.
He had more than 3 minutes.
Originally,
He had-
I understand that, but originally, this was supposed to be open conversation.
we ask a question and wait till you get an answer, but you ask a question and back and forth, and then pretty soon you ask them 4 or 5 questions there. Ask a question and you get your answer. Let them answer.
Well, all right, first of all, I want to make one clarification. The community, the citizens community, whatever you want to call us, does not have a Facebook page as you represented in the council meeting. I want to clarify that. We do not have a Facebook page. The other thing is, as far as with some of the stuff that went on Facebook, you said that there was some stuff out there that was very disturbing and things like that.
Yeah, there was.
And then also you put in your voice, I'm at the council meeting, you said, and for the rest of the people on Facebook, you're talking about everybody, all the citizens of South Beloit or Beloit, whoever.
What do you mean the rest of the people?
That's exactly what you said.
For what did I say?
Right after you said about the meeting comments on Facebook, you took snapshots sent to the chief.
Yeah, I did.
Right after that,
I said that's very disturbing because they were talking about lawyers and everything else and that.
Okay.
I said, no, that's disturbing to me.
Right, I understand it, but the next breath you took, you said the rest of the people on Facebook. Why are you saying the rest of the people?
Well, because
You're
there's
talking
more
about
than one
everybody
person.
here making damn comment. I don't want to hear from you, Kenny, I'm talking to Tom.
Wait, that's enough. But I'll tell you what, right now, there's a lot of stuff said on Facebook, and a lot of stuff that's kind of light, and I just shake it off because it's not a big deal. But if people want to know the answer, you just ask the question, he'll give you the answer. Simple as that.
Until you get cut off. Exactly.
Well, you got cut off because you're talking for 5 minutes.
The only thing I got to say then, we got our meeting this Saturday at 10 o'clock. We can respond there. You guys can come out to the high school at 10 o'clock. We'll respond to everything that was just said. And here's what Jason just said. We will respond to those answers or those questions.
All right, my turn. So, I guess I'd like to, I understand we've got back and forth. I understand that we've got hurt, feelings, questions, concerns. As a community, you have that right to have the questions. I don't want anybody to make you feel like you shouldn't ask us questions. I don't want anybody to make you feel like you're not being heard. But, what is our common goal? To me, our common goal is to protect this city and make it better. Right now, I don't feel like that we are working to a common goal. That's just my own opinion, and I just want to state that for the record. I feel like the common goal needs to be, we need to figure out whether you're on the council, whether you're a concerned citizen, whether you're somebody who doesn't care, we need to figure out how to bring us together. I think that's our common goal. And right now, how I feel is we have too much name calling and throwing. I don't care what side. How do we come together as a community? How do we heal? There are people that like this, there are people that don't like it. How do we bring this together? I have not heard a solution yet. So that's what I want to ask everybody. How do we bring it together? How do we get everybody on the same page to make this community better?
Referendum, you should have had that to begin with. And ask questions. You won't let, you got 3 minutes right here to talk. And I got cut off. So did Bruce. You don't want to hear what we got to
You
say.
started yelling, Jack. We're
Let
told
me
everything.
answer, please. Okay. I'm going to moderate for a couple of minutes here, okay? Did you fill out the form? Sign your name right now. Just give me some free for a second, okay? Go for it, right here, go for it.
So, as a firefighter who was on South Beloit until the very last day, Richard's name. I was one of the last guys at 7 a.m. who was walked out that day.
Okay.
I believe looking, watching everything go down. Everyone is healed because we lost all jobs. I think the biggest issue is if we can find a way to, I know it's in the union contract and that's something that needs to be changed, is be able to have us go back as full-time staff and still have jobs. I think the biggest issue from the community, from me looking at it, is everyone is upset that we all lost our jobs and was not given a part-time opportunity with the township. Grant, I know how the union works, all that stuff, but I think that's something you guys should have tried and push more that in the union contract before this took effect to have part-time staffing available for us.
Part-time staff.
Yes. So that way we will not cold turkey you guys.
So when we went to full-time, you're talking about the fact that the part-timers lost their part-time option.
Correct.
Okay.
That is my spot looking in as a firefighter who lost my job.
Okay. And I am happy to hear that you're telling me this right now, only because you're the first person to tell me that. Since all of this has begun, this is the first person that has said this to me.
And I know, like township, you have to be full-time paramedic. I'm not paramedic. I am a state certified engineer, tech rescue, first responder with multiple other things. So I have qualifications to do everything, except I'm not EMT or med. I'm working towards that, but still, we should have been given the opportunity to still be on this full-time staff to help supplement the engine side. Township could staff the ambulance, and that's called ALS full-time. Have part-time staffing, staff your engine. I was a lieutenant, no qualified for 4 years. That is exactly how we do stuff. We did stuff down there. We had a contract with Metro Staffing, amazing contract. Ambulance was staffed 24/7 ALS. During the day, it's part-time staffing through Metro contract as well to keep the engine staffed. And we have a minimum of 3 people every day.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you.
Who wants to talk next?
Number 10.
I do think there's a way, where there's a will, there's a way, and I do believe there is a way.
Okay.
I believe you start at the top, you start cutting staff. We've got a lot of very unnecessary staff. Remember when we didn't have computers? Work got done at City Hall, was no problem at all. Now we got all kinds of people in there, work's not, I don't know if it's getting done or not. You can drive down any street in South Beloit, and the violations depends on who you are, whether you get a ticket or not. But you can drive down the street almost any night, people are parked on the wrong side of the street. But I believe if you pay the people, and I believe firefighters and police officers deserve a well-earned wage. A lot of firefighters commit suicide later on in life. I have a son-in-law that is a lieutenant firefighter in Rockford. I have a grandson who is a paramedic and firefighter that worked for the city of South Beloit, that now works in Waukegan and drives an hour and 45 minutes every day to work. Not a very nice place to work up there as far as you deal with a lot of things. But I believe that the first thing the city needs to do is change the form of government. We don't need the same people in there forever, friends and family, and we don't need people in there that really don't know what they're doing. They come on, they really don't know what's going on, they just get in there and I'm on the council and you be quiet. Okay, I just want to state one other thing. Last week, I had an incident happen at Fair Oaks Nursing Home. Nobody got hurt except my son. And when we called for the fire department, 2 911 calls were put in. It was 3.5 hours before a police officer responded, and when I finally told them, you either call and get an ambulance here, or I will call Winnebago County and have the sheriff's department here, and then I will be up there. After calling Tom, who then made a phone call, there was a police officer that come up, and when I said, I am his guardian, and I want him sent to the hospital, there was an ambulance there. That was a long time coming to get this done. And the one other thing I want to add to that is I had surgery that morning, was to go home. I got the phone call getting out of my car and I was up there. This city, I can only imagine what insurance is going to go up to as soon as our insurance companies finds out there's no fire department in the city of South Beloit. And I'm talking for you. I'm talking about homeowners, people that own homes. These insurances are going to skyrocket, they already are. And when you pay people, a decent wage, they're gonna come work. And I heard that a lot of it was the atmosphere at the fire department. It wasn't improving. Something, I really think we should have meetings where the community gets together and talks about changes rather than just the council saying, okay, this is what we're gonna do.
So let me just recap real quick. So, staffing in general, city staffing.
All staff,
In general, city staffing.
yes.
So kind of outside of the fire department. Bring it to the council, set up a meeting if you would like, and bring it. Let's talk.
Say that again.
Bring it to a meeting and let's talk. If you want to change the form of government.
I brought it to the council, right, Tom? That I thought, and when my husband was alive, he brought it to the council, that we need a different form of government because everybody goes in there new, everybody thinks they know what they're doing. When we had Marilyn Hartley as our clerk, she knew what she was doing, she did it and got it done. You can smile all you want to, she was not one of my favorite people, but I'll tell you what, when something needed to get done, it got done.
Okay. Who's next?
Yeah, Carol,
That's on the same Carol.
you wrote your name.
Yeah, that was in case I wanted to say something, but I'm learning by listening.
All right, Andrew Kitson.
Couple of questions. One is, as I'm looking in negotiations with a business in town that is a very big dollar amount and a very high-risk business in town, does South Floyd have intentions of having a fire department? Not a mutual aid department, but a department in town, because we're talking billions of dollars. You can imagine how much insurance is, and if we don't have a fire department, is there an intent of having a South Floyd fire department? I know right now, Chief, you guys are planning like 3 of the ideal staffing currently, correct, for South Floyd? With a 2-man minimum, which we all know means that the ambulance is covered, guaranteed to be covered, but not the trucks or the engines. I know you guys are hiring, and change the sign now to still hiring because of the problems getting people. What is the plan to have a fire department in South Floyd? Because and I'm not the only person looking at the business in town right now that is very hinging on whether there's going to be fire protection in South Floyd. Is there a plan? And all I'm here is Chris.
You don't consider them a fire department, huh?
Okay? Chief said it's a South Floyd question, so I guess I pass it to you guys.
Do you not consider what we have now a fire department?
It is not. You have to, anyone in here can correct me if I'm wrong, but with a 3-man contract with 2-man minimum, 90% of the time, 100% of the ambulance is covered. The town of Beloit's union contract, and correct me if I'm wrong, please. They cannot take an engine with 2 people. Now previously, when South Floyd was staffed by South Floyd, the engine could roll out the door with 2 people and did many times. Their contract, because of safety concerns and NFPA standards, which is completely understandable, their contract cannot take an engine with less than 3 people, which means an ambulance is going, and we're relying on a fire truck or engine coming from a different neighboring department if they're available. So no, you do not have a fire department in South Floyd currently. Is there a plan to have it?
We have contracted the way that we have contracted. So your opinion is that we do not have a fire department. It sounds like that is a lot of your opinion. That is not our opinion.
Can I interrupt real quick though? We just, I mean, these are the guys I'm not taking correct.
I'll help you. When you were saying that South Floyd previously would run an engine with 2 personnel. I can tell you there is not a fire department around that think that's a safe way to run a fire department.
Jim, I don't argue that. I did it many times. South Floyd prior to my arrival did it with 1 person. There's nothing safe about it. I get that. What I'm saying is, right now, the citizens of South Floyd and the business owners, whether they live in South Floyd or not, rely on a fire truck showing up. I'm asking if there is a plan to have a fire truck show up if there's a fire.
Put this to bed for you if you like, Mayor.
Huh?
I can try to put this one to bed for you if you like.
Well, yeah, I mean, we
The
got.
last
fire department.
101 days, Chief, that we have had a town village staffing at the South Village Station, can you tell me how many of those days, those 101 days, we were able to put out a fire engine
the ambulance.
to have 5 on. It's a money thing.
Process.
How we get to
Right.
5 is there's a lot of different ways.
No, even three, so that that engine can roll out. That's what I'm getting at, is if you have the three, the engine can jump. 5 is optimal.
That's the dream.
I mean, that's optimal, which
When, we never had 5 people the last 2 years.
What's that?
We never had 5 people. the
And
last
that's correct, and I can tell you part of the reason why is.
Yeah, because all you guys are left. That's part of the reason.
I can tell you where I was standing in the station when you looked at me and said.
I never said to you that. That's a lie.
You didn't even
Give
say
it all
anything
people.
yet.
What you put on Facebook is another one that lies.
Tom, we stood right inside the glass
No, you
windows
didn't.
and
I
you
never
said.
said that.
You said, we'll get going where it says, holy shit, I'm standing here still as a full-time guy, and you said,
Yeah,
we'll get rid of
that's
you
easy
guys
to
through
say. Fred,
attrition.
you're done. That's wrong.
Because I called you out, I've cut, okay,
Yeah.
duly noted, Tom.
You're done. I tell you, that was never said.
100% guaranteed on my family's life, you said, Tom, you can lie all you want.
Never said nothing about, and there's a lot of people that left here in the last few days. I mean, Gary Brown yourself, both good firemen, was to have a job here for life. Why, you can tell people why you left. It wasn't because of me.
I didn't say it was.
Okay.
I never once said it was because of you. I can tell anybody why I left, that's no problem.
I know it.
What's
What do you tell me? We got Joshua.
Well, this is why I wanted to go last, because I'm not really sure this did any good. I had asked in the last city council meeting if it was gonna be a two-way, ask a question, get an answer. I was told yes, it wasn't gonna be 3 minutes as long as it didn't go over 20. And because I don't know anything, I gotta listen to what everybody says. I don't know his personal story, but when he went to say a story, you attacked him. When I go to say the story I have, you attack me. You make me out to be the bad guy. The police are here because of me today. I don't know why. I don't know why we didn't take the contracted people. I don't know why that didn't happen. I don't know why we don't have a plan 5 years from now, what we're gonna do, why we're not building right now. But we don't have a fire department. If our fire department isn't first to roll out an engine, we don't have one. If it's never gonna happen, if you look at the Mavis Garden, South Beloit's never going with a truck committed, we don't have it. If we had minimal staffing and then we contracted in, we would have it. And unfortunately, I would have had a lot more questions, and I was hoping we get a lot more answers, but I see why this gets derailed, and I see why people feel the way they do. And for the record, it is my Facebook, Concerned Citizens Facebook page was started well before, right after the first meeting I ever attended. And the South Beloit Concerned Citizens aren't the 8 to sit in the front of the room. It panicked. It was the 70 people. That's who I represent, which is who you represent. So if they have questions and they're afraid to ask them, I said I would ask them. And now I understand exactly where they're coming from.
Deputy Chief, the Deputy Chief will say that 101 days they had 30 engines rolled, 30 times the engines rolled out.
No, 30%. How many drivers have we had in the last 101 days?
80.
So,
Can I address this?
yes, please.
We are not perfect right now. We were not getting out of the at all before. We had to do something. Complaining we didn't have an engine company. We didn't have an engine company before we brought Township in. This was one of numerous options we looked at and one we were able to finally get hold of. Now, there has been talk for as long as I was fire chief about the possibility of a merger between the city of Beloit, the city of South Beloit, and the town of Beloit. That would make an excellent one department that provided the resources to the 3 communities because of the how much manpower we would have available, because of how many engine companies would be available. But the state line had always been the holdup. Now that we're actually to a point where we have to do something, being merged department isn't a good idea anymore. Well, having one person in the station that can't do anything is even a worse idea. Now, if we don't like this plan, if we can't make it work, yes, we don't have an ambulance, or we don't have an engine company in the house because the ambulance is up. That's gone on since I was on the department. If your rig was out, you were tied up, you had to use somebody else. During the daytime, during work hours, you were lucky if you had more than one company in your city that was failing. If you were relying on volunteers, you couldn't help it. And Bruce, you know that.
I agree, but you also gotta agree that there's some.
I said, this isn't perfect and it needs to be worked
Not
out.
that part yet. You gotta agree that you and I know, been in the fire service 50 years, you were 48 or whatever the hell it was. You gotta know that there's some smoke and mirrors going on here. That they tell you got 3, they get an ambulance when they're down. What's that one guy do off that cross that company? Does he stay in the quarters and go on the ambulance? Easy question.
If it's a severe call, they'll go on the ambulance.
That makes sense.
Right.
But on a general medical, if somebody's bumping into you, he'll stay in the station.
Right.
That makes sense. But he's just like that one we just said. That one guy is worthless as shit.
Right, and I don't argue that.
That's-
What I'm saying here is that we had to come up with a solution. And we came up with a contract with the township. Now, we could have contracted with a private ambulance company. That wouldn't give us a fire.
Yeah, good. That's what Rockland does. You got firefighters that.
Yeah, because they hired their own people to
No,
be
that's not
on the.
true. Same thing with Harold
I know.
Hospital.
Not all ambulance companies that you're gonna contract with.
I agree.
Provide.
I agree with that.
And one company that we did talk to was willing to put people in, but we had to hire them. We had to find the people for it, because they didn't have enough. Well, if I could find those people, I wouldn't have to go contract them in the first place. Bottom line is, we don't have enough people. The next option is a referendum and look at 15 full-time people and a chief. If that is what the city wants, that's what we need to hear, and then that's what we need to do. But I guarantee you, when we start talking about how much money is gonna be the increase on the average homeowner's taxes, then it's gonna be a battle. It's gonna be a battle. It's been a battle for as long as I've been with the city. Anytime you needed extra and you went out to the public and said, we need more money.
And I agree with you.
You gotta do it, I would sell it.
I agree with you on the battles, but when you start losing a business, let's say Axiom pulls out, some of these people.
I'm not happy with that a bit.
I mean, there's a double-edged sword here, that if you're gonna allow this to continue for,
How many areas around us here are in the same,
Say again?
how many areas around here are in the same situation?
probably 90% of them. Other than the
How many,
city of
how
Rockland.
many departments have already merged with the neighboring city because of it? I mean, it's a terrible problem. We have to face it, and we have to come up with a solution. But no matter what, if we decide to hire 15 full-time people in the chief, we gotta have something on an interim. We can't just say, township, you're out, we're gonna do this referendum, because we're not gonna have a 15-man department tomorrow. It isn't gonna happen. We haven't hard enough time to find enough people to put, so we can have 3 people in the station. If we could hire these people, if they were out there and applying for the jobs, we'd have them, but they're not.
What's your 5 or 10 year plan to solve this then?
I don't know.
Is there any 5 or 10 year plan?
No.
At the present time, I want to get through today, yeah, then we can look at the 5-year or 10-year plan. The bottom line is, if we can't get people to apply for a job, it doesn't make any difference what plan we come up with. We're not gonna have the people.
Maybe that 5 or 10 year plan will be the plan that you have to hire somebody full time.
I'm
But
not-
we have to get down to that part.
I'm not saying we won't hire. I'm saying we've got to have the books and fill out the application.
Yeah, but he's just saying if, in all these cases, if the fire department was failing and you had these staffing issues and you were gonna go with Beloit and then you didn't, the people who were staying there had to see the writing on the wall and be like, I gotta get out of here. I'm not gonna have a job if I stay here. And as far as getting some more people, you came to our meeting, to all the citizens, and said, you would like 2 more people.
I would like to.
It came out of your mouth. So what are you doing to fight for those 2 more? Let's start there.
We tried to get 2 more people on there, just regular part-time people. But because of their union laws, it wouldn't allow. I would thought that.
Chief said that wasn't an issue. He can work with the union. He's worked with the union before. He told me so at the city council meeting.
Let's work with it, but,
Why wasn't this ever put out to the citizens of South Beloit? Because I, for one, probably can pinch a penny better than anybody in the city, but I am 100% for raising taxes as soon as it's put out there so we can all express our thoughts and ideas on it. Just one simple thing I want to say. There was a meeting that Jack held quite a while back, and one of the guys came, that's on the fire department in another city. They don't have their city attorney at every council meeting. Their city attorney is available. That'd be a nice thing to cut out because, like I said, I think there's options. Pardon me? I think there's options out there, but it was never put out to us.
you think we would go through all this talking to people around here if we had full-time people working down on our fire department for the last 2 years? You think we wanted to go down to Rockton and talk to Rockton or Roscoe or go up to Beloit? We were the people, the same people that are complaining are the same people that wrote in the Facebook about how come we didn't have a fire truck because we didn't have a driver, we didn't have an ambulance because we didn't only have 1 person staff. So we tried to rectify that by finding a department that would go with us, finding some help. Because you can't just go out there and hire 9 people. Ask Beloit, they wanted to hire more people. They couldn't do it because they didn't have enough people to apply. And that's the problem right now. It's not that we wouldn't hire them. We'll hire anybody, but you gotta have people that are qualified, and you don't have people that are qualified.
But you also have to pay a wage that makes these people want to come to
Paying
work.
right now, paying $24 an hour for a paramedic part-time.
No, there's no part-time.
No, but I said we were at the end. $24. Now that's a high wage, ain't it?
Well, you can go to McDonald's and get a job for $15 to $18 an hour.
We're talking fire department.
I'm just saying, if you don't pay it.
We're trying to get enough people to put on the fire department. And our wage is the same as what they are around Beloit, Rockton, Roscoe. We got people here from Rockton and Roscoe. All they have to do is stand up and say, it's not true.
I'd like to echo what
Nobody's
Kenny
saying
is
it.
trying to say. We were forced to do something. You're asking if we have a plan. We just started this in October. We're working with the town of Beloit to try and get this up to speed as fast as we can. Because we have better coverage today than we did 2 months before the merger. Is the coverage exactly what we want? No, but we're trying to work as quick as we can. And the fact that you guys have come out so quickly, I applaud you for that. It's January. We announced it in 24. The transition finally happened in October, and we're trying to figure this out. Plain and simple. The 5-year plan, the 10-year plan, heck, the 3-year plan is gonna come to fruition. We're just trying to get through this and get this transition moving and get pieces in play to figure out what needs to be done.
But you're not gonna bring businesses into South Beloit because they're gonna say they don't have a fire department. I'm very well experienced with,
I already got this.
can I just finish this for like the schools? I've had rental properties forever. And when people would come and look at the properties, they'd say, where do my kids go to school? South Beloit. Nope, I don't want to rent it. So what do you,
district problem.
so what do you, okay, but what I'm saying is what do you think people's going to think when they come to look at the city and say, oh, I'm not going to open a business in South Beloit because they don't have a quality fire department, and what if my place catches on fire? I say if you pay the people a good wage, have a good moral, and that starts at the top, that starts with your chief on down. I don't know this chief at all, But it starts from the top down. If you've got good moral and you want to train these employees, you're going to keep them.
And I just want, one last thing for this evening. I want to leave everybody here assured that in a fight, there is going to be a fire truck in your house. I don't care what anybody out here wants to try and say, you will have a fire truck. It may come from Dwight, it may come from Ronson, or it may come from Ronson. Because that's how the fire service has worked for 200 years. One of the biggest problems the fire service has is that we were so busy covering each other and always being there to bail the other department out, that our own communities cover manpower. You can get it from Dwight, you don't need it. You can get it from Rock, you don't need it. That was a mentality for many, many years. Now we're in a situation where nobody has enough. Used to be that mutual aid was something that was called for major fires. Now mutual aid is called on a daily basis for any department. I don't care anybody, any department in here. It's called on a daily basis just to meet your daily needs because there are not enough people. That is the solution to the problem, is we need people. We need to get people to apply to be firefighters, whether it's through the township or whether it be for ourselves. If we can't get those people in the door, we can't hire them, get them on the truck. The bottom line is, you will be covered, because that's what the fire service does. We back each other up, we make sure that the public is covered, one way or another.
Chief Morris, with that, you are correct. There's getting people in the door. And the way the fire department, we always adapt and overcome in the fire service. That's just one of the things that we always say. The way we're doing it right now is exactly what we're seeing here in City of South Beloit. Mergers, combining fire departments, having contracts with other fire departments to do it. Milwaukee Green Bay Metro now is called. They have multiple different fire departments all combining into one. LaCrosse is doing the same thing. Madison has multiple. Lakeside has some. North Park and Loves Park are working on the same plans right now. All these fire departments, because none of us have the staffing to do it, are all trying to work together and find ways, contracts, to consolidate manpower, to whatever we can to get this and respond to your emergencies, because we care, we want to be there, we want to help as much as we can, but sometimes we just don't have the staffing, we have to help each other.
Should you also, because I know you did some work on our ISO rating here in 24, working with the Carolina ISO rating, it directly impacts